Daughters of Zion, wherever you are, we are going to have this meeting on the 29th of April. All roads should be leading to JCC Parklands. We kick off at 1 p.m. Normally, it's amazing. You don't want to miss it for anything. Invite all your friends. It's free for all. Come to Daughters of Zion.
It's not what you possess out here that makes you beautiful. It's what you possess on the inside. I am a peacemaker, but y'all know what a peacemaker is? A peacemaker is somebody who declares war on anything that disturbs their peace. And the minute you mess up my peace,
Don't you let where you've been hinder you. Don't let what they've said hinder you. Don't you let your past hinder you. You're a woman without limits. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. A woman without limits. Yes, you are. There's nothing the enemy can do to stop what God has for you. There's nothing the enemy can do to stop what God has for you. You're a woman without limits. Woman, 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 woman without limits. Na 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 na. Woman without limits.
Good evening, viewers. You are welcome to Woman Without Limits. That's exactly who you are. And I want you to know that nobody can limit you but you yourself. So you know what I say? Get out of your own way. Don't stop yourself because of what people said. People are not your God. He's your creator, and he's the one who knows that he created you for a purpose and with a purpose. My name is Reverend Kathy Kiuna, and I'm delighted that you could tune in today. We are in for an awesome time. Amen. Somebody say, Woman Without Limits.
Woman without limits.
Say it one more time.
Woman without limits.
That's exactly who you are. And today we have an amazing story. You know, we normally bring such amazing stories that transform lives, because that's what Woman Without Limits is all about. And even before I get onto the story, I've done a book that's really, really, really beautiful. It's called The Transformed Woman. You need to get a hold of this book. It's in leading supermarkets, and you can also call our numbers that are on your screen, and we're going to get it to you. This is a book that every woman needs to get a hold of. It's called Transformed Woman, and you find women just like you and I that God has transformed and changed their lives entirely, and right now they are changing other people's lives. So you know what? You could be broken right now, but you will not stay broken. God's gonna raise you up. Amen. God's going to raise you up and turn it around for you. So get a hold of this wonderful Transformed Woman book, and it's going to bless you. I've written many others, and I'm going to tell you about them even as we move on. Today, we have an amazing guest. This wonderful woman has been a news anchor before. She's been in the media circles, and we're going to talk about her. Her name is Winnie Mukami. Winnie Mukami is a director at Winners Frontiers International Limited. She has gone through major and many hardships before stardom, but right now God is doing amazing things over her life, and this is what we are all about. We let you know that it's not where you start, it's not even how you start. You can start from the very back where nobody even knows you or cares, but God is able to raise you up and lift you to a place that everybody must recognize you. Would you welcome with me Mukami? Wow, very very, very nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Pastor.
I know you have such amazing stories. I don't even want to preempt anything before. I just want you to start letting us know who's Mukami, because I know that you were an anchor before. But before we get to that, just let us know who you are.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on the show. I can tell you for sure I have been behind the scenes for quite some time
I
right
know,
now.
right?
And as much as I've also enjoyed the publicity and the stardom life, I have been away from the screens for quite some time. So forgive me if I do something that I shouldn't be doing in front of the cameras. But basically, Winnie Mukami is a problem solver. That's how I would like to think of myself, and that's how many of my friends tell me. I'm a problem solver. Throw me into the sea and I will swim with the sharks. So Winnie Mukami has that kind of background where you are born into riches. So we used to actually be taken to school by chauffeurs.
Hello.
We had horses for pets. So we were born into the monies. But as life would have it, life had to change at some point. I went to Lavington Primary School. I'm sure some people who we went to school with will, recognize me from then. And at some point in our lives, growing up, when I was joining high school, life took a turn for the West. And I believe that our lives are a journey and nothing catches God by surprise. When he says we are predestined, even when things don't look like they should look like, you're still on your path according to God's plan. So we had to move from the Lavingtons and go all the way to the slums.
Okay.
All the way to the shanties.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
To the slums?
To the slums.
Seriously?
Seriously. At some point, we even had to leave behind a place where they used to sell mongare. That's in Kware. Anybody from Kware would know that place.
Right.
Where you would, at some point, even eat ugali choma. I don't know whether you know ugali choma.
Oh, there's ugali choma?
Yeah, so...
Hey.
Yes.
There's ugali choma.
There's ugali choma.
Never heard of it. Never
Yeah.
heard. Ugali
So,
choma.
yeah, ugali
so you just
choma.
put it on the...
Yeah, you cook ugali and then have kidogo mafuta, put it on your, what is it called?
Pan?
Pan, yeah. In Kikuyu, you call it rogeo. Yes. Put it on your pan. Then finya ugali yako vizuri, tafuta, anaitangwa Thomas, sama anaitangwa Deno, inside the ugali, by finya, and then you choma. And you have that with black tea, sometimes even without sugar. So you're coming from a background where cereals, all types of cereals.
With sausage and
muesli
bacon.
Yes. And now you have to survive. But all this time, it is something that God was actually preparing me
But
for.
were you devastated though?
Surprisingly not. The grace of God was so sufficient.
Wow.
The most amazing thing, we were brought up very well, thanks to my mom and my dad. They always made sure that when we close school, we go to Ishagi, where you carry water. We come from Moranga. And you know in Moranga, you
Hills. My father comes from there, I know. You climb, you can actually roll from there without...
Exactly. You climb hills standing
up like
still.
this.
You
I know.
Yeah. So it's like Mike and Angelo walking
Right,
on
right.
top of hills.
Right.
So she would take us up country and we would go fetch water in Madhioya, climb all the way up, take the water up there. At some point, I keep making jokes telling people that I know what it means to have jiggers. And yet, you're coming from Lavington.
Yes.
And you have to go through the processes because Ushago Muranga, unfortunately,
The
that's
jiggers
where-
are actually, that's their mother.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling, it's like they come from there.
But it was
'Cause I
fun
know,
for us
yeah.
those days,
Yeah.
you know, because you don't want to walk with your shoes when you're up there. You want to do what the Romans are doing, you know, so to speak. So it was fun for us then. So kinda my mom had built an internal system within us. So that's why I believe that throw me anywhere, I will get myself
You will
out.
survive.
Yes, you will survive.
Isn't that something?
So that's how it went.
Right.
And that is the time I was in high school. I went to Karate Girls, where I started discovering my talents, you know, in the area of drama and public speaking. But all this time, I had always thought I was going to be a lawyer. Yeah, I didn't think I was going to go into media.
Right.
And my dad kept on speaking that to me as well.
About law?
About law, yeah. So when the Bible says that you get your blessings from your dad,
Yeah.
it actually means that because he kept on building the confidence in me. So as life would have it, I left high school and went into the world to hustle. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And became a proper hustler.
A proper one.
Yes.
A proper one where
With
I was-
jiggers, were the jiggers out?
No, the jiggers were out.
Okay.
I mean, my mom made sure they were out and our feet were soaked in Dettol, you know, just so that we don't spread them around the house.
Right.
Yeah, so as life would have it, I left school and came out here. I had to step aside for my sisters to continue. I would not continue drawing from my dad's, finances. I had to find a way of surviving.
Because
So
you were now grown.
I was grown.
You needed to give the others an opportunity.
Exactly. And
Right.
I keep saying that in Kenya, I don't know why you're 24, you're 25, and your mother is still calling you a baby. In the US, at 16, you're a grown woman.
And at 18, you start paying rent.
Yes,
If you're staying in
exactly.
your mother's house, you pay rent.
Yes.
Or find, bye Felicia.
Yeah.
Find your own house.
Yes, yes. And
You're right.
so I had to find a way of surviving. I had to think outside the box. So the first place I got employed was at the EPZ. EPZ is Export Processing Zone. Now there is no fancy job. It's not a case of going there to learn how to become a superstar. It's about sewing clothes and meeting targets,
Wow.
And the most amazing thing is that I had not done home science in school. But I thank God because there's something that comes with the Holy Spirit that keeps you believing that you can do anything. And the faith within me is unbogable.
Come on.
The Bible says that we've all been given a measure of faith, but to others, gift of faith.
A gift of faith.
So my mom knows that I
Yeah.
always had that gift
Wow.
of faith.
Yeah.
So I went to EPZ. I didn't know how to sew. But I had heard that the best place for you to be is in the finishing line. Now, the finishing line is where all the clothes that have been sewn and they have taken shape, they come to the finishing line where you put now buttons, and there are things called buttocks. Those two things on your jeans,
Right.
where you hold the pocket so that it doesn't tear. So those stitches there are called buttocks.
Okay.
So I had to attack the machine. So, and I had never seen it. But I was brought in and I said, for me, I can do finishing. So so you can use the Patak machine. I said, yes, I can. But
By
later,
faith.
I didn't,
All of this was faith.
yeah, and I stopped at because I didn't even know what was he talking about. But at faith, I knew that this is what I want to do. I have to
Right.
get the maximum amount of money from this job because my destiny is elsewhere. It's not here.
Yeah.
So I went in and I was put into the machine. God has ways of working things out.
So you turned the lemon into lemonade.
Oh yeah,
You decided, this is not my kind of job.
Yes.
But I will just enjoy through it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I knew I needed something to get somewhere. And I keep listening to Bishop T.D. Jakes, and he talks about life being, everything in your life is a seed.
Right.
Then, of course, you don't know it's a seed. For you, you're just going with the flow, you
Yeah,
know?
right.
But now that life has, I've matured in life, I actually know that everything has been systematic all the way up until where I am today. So I went into the machine. The Muindi, because it was a Muindi, left me with the other guys who were doing the Batak machine. So I was telling them, okay, fine, show me, how do you thread? So, because they remove the thread so that you thread it. And it's like a car. That machine
Wow.
is like a car.
Right.
You have to move the thread from point A to point B. But I learned really fast. I was open-minded and I knew that this is what I have to do. I am not going to earn 200 shillings a day. I am going for the 1,000 shillings.
Oh, there was 200 and there was 1,000.
There was 200 shillings, there
Hey.
was 500 shillings, there was 1,000. So for me, I am going for the 1,000 shillings.
You know what, Mukami, just stop right there.
Yeah.
Isn't life amazing? Because it's a choice.
Yeah.
You could have just settled for the 200, and there are people who settle there. Yet life is a choice. You decide, you know what, I'm going to push myself harder
Yeah.
and get better. Because you can never get better if you don't will to make right choices and push harder. That's the only way.
Yeah.
So you said, no, me, I don't want the 200.
No, I don't want the 200.
1,000.
Yes, it has to be 2,000.
Because it's being made by people like me.
Exactly.
Come on.
You know, I kept on telling people, I mean, even those who are on TV don't have two heads. They have one head like me. So I can definitely get there.
That deserves a
So-
mighty clap. Hey! Hey!
So, I went in there and I did the machine, I did the threading, and the Muindi came, removed the thread. I did the threading, then he said, okay, fine, do that. I worked there for about like 4 months, and I was already supervisor because they felt that I spoke well. Every time they would come to me and they would speak to me, they would just enjoy talking to me. So they said, I think you're a leader.
And you do speak well.
Thank you. Thank you. So you're a leader. You shouldn't be sitting here. So we're going to make you a supervisor of the packing. So packing is where now after they've gone through, you umekata tuuzi, ilikuwa inaitwa tweezing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now we know tweezing is for the eyebrows.
For the brows.
Yeah. So yeah, so when I became a supervisor, but I kept on telling people that this is not where I'm destined to be. And the company I was working for at some point had to close down. So it closed down and I went out. I had made a decision that I was to work there for exactly 1 year. So I had worked for about 9 months when the company closed down.
Right.
So after it closed down, we were paid whatever we were paid, and I went out there and I told my mom, you know what, as much as this salary was helping us, by the way, my mom keeps on telling me that I was such a good person to her, because I would come put my salary on top of the table. And I'll tell her, okay, fine, mom, nipatia anywele, the rest, buy food, and pay rent.
Are you serious?
That's how I would work with my mom. Until at some point, my mom, and mothers are just wonderful.
No,
my mom
they are.
told me, Mukami, you need to leave some money for yourself. I know, and I need it, and your sisters need it, but then again, you have to realize that at the end of the day, you have to take care of yourself. Let me do my thing, you also do your thing. But it was so hard. I mean, for me, I'm living in her house, so I would just end up putting the money on top of the table and we would share it amongst ourselves. But after that, I told my mom, I'm not going back to EPZ. I want to start my journey to TV.
So all this time when you're there,
Yes,
EPZ,
yes.
you're looking at the airwaves.
Yes.
And you're thinking, I'm coming.
In fact, I used to tell some people that, you know, you're going to see me on TV one of these fine days. And they would look at me in disbelief. At some point, even my pastor could not believe.
Really?
I told my pastor.
We won't mention his name.
Yes, we won't mention. He actually came and told me, after I joined KBC for the first time, he told me, you know, Mukami, you kept on telling me you're going to be on TV, and we felt like maybe we need to reduce our preaching on faith. Yeah. Because yours is getting
You're pushing
crazy.
too far.
You're pushing too hard.
Right.
At that time, the church we were going to is a mud building. So when it's raining, and it's in Uko Kitengela,
Wow.
so when it rains,
Right.
it floods for real, because we would have to come in the following morning very early. Wanarika, tulikuwa tunaitwa Wanarika, the youth.
Yeah.
You'd have to come very early and fetch the water out, so that now by the time people are coming to church,
They can have service.
yeah, but you see, that is also something that when I flash back, I realize that you have to give service to God. I mean, when you're
Come on.
serving God,
Come on.
He is up there doing
He
your
services your
business.
waters.
Exactly.
Right.
So he was doing my business. And so I told my mom, I'm not going back to EPZ. I want to go back. I want to go to TV. So I sat in the house, and my mom started getting frustrated. She started feeling like Mukami is losing it, like she's giving up.
Because you stayed in the house for a while.
I stayed in the house for a month. For my mom, she knew that
That was
Mukami
too
cannot.
much.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
too much.
yeah.
There's something really wrong with Mukami. So I stayed in the house for about, let's say, 2 months, thereabout. And I told her, you know what, mom, nimebaki na about 50 shillings.
Right.
Could you lend me 100 shillings? There are so many constructions going on around here. And the other day I saw a woman going around with porridge. I'm thinking, with this big sufuria, I can buy unga and start, ferment it, because they sell the normal porridge. So now I want to ferment mine and sell it. So
I like you. Me,
yeah.
I totally like you. I mean, that, you know, that honestly,
Yeah.
That's how I think too.
Yes.
Like I can't sit here and die
And
of
do
hunger.
nothing, yes.
And I know there is money in these people's pockets.
Exactly.
How do you get it without stealing
Exactly. Look at the 4 lepers. Yeah. Who said
Yeah.
if we sit here, we die?
We die.
If we go there, we die.
Right.
So can we go die like heroes?
You know?
So that's what I did. And I started selling
Wow.
porridge. And as I was selling porridge, remember you're talking to construction workers who don't really think about TV as even something that is accessible.
Right.
You know?
Impossible mission.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I kept on telling them, unajua, kunyweni uji yangu, siku moja mtaniona kwa TV. Then they would tell me, we mama, you know that time you also have to dress like a mama.
Yes.
By the way, I went all out. I even got an apron. because I wanted to outshine my competition. So I had an apron, so I would go there and say, we mama uza uji. You'll go mad. Right. Yeah, TV si ya watu kama sisi. Si ya watu kama wewe. Nikamwambia, wewe ukiweka Mungu wako kwa matchbox,
yeah,
utamuona kwa matchbox. But if your God is bigger than that matchbox and he is infinity, he can do all things and he will make it possible.
Come on.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I thank God because already, see, God has already planned my life.
Right.
I was born in riches.
Yeah.
So for me, I knew nothing is impossible, you know. How is it that we were born rich and we are here? So it means we can also get ourselves back
there.
So for me, I was looking at how we were going to get ourselves back there.
Right.
It's not what you possess out here that makes you beautiful. It's what you possess on the inside. I am a peacemaker, but y'all know what a peacemaker is? A peacemaker is somebody who declares war on anything that disturbs their peace. And the minute you mess up my peace,
Daughters of Zion, wherever you are, we are going to have this meeting on the 29th of April. All roads should be leading to JCC Parklands. We kick off at 1 p.m. Normally, it's amazing. You don't want to miss it for anything. Invite all your friends. It's free for all. Come to Daughters of Zion.
Without limits.
it's not what you possess out here that makes you beautiful. It's what you possess on the inside. I am a peacemaker, but y'all know what a peacemaker is? A peacemaker is somebody who declares war on anything that disturbs their peace. And the minute you mess up my peace,
I have also written this wonderful book. It's called Celebrate Yourself. And you know what? It's actually basically what we were talking about with you, you know, when you are pushed to the corner. Can you imagine if you didn't know how to celebrate yourself? You wouldn't have picked yourself up. Celebrate Yourself is about you. You need to understand that if you don't celebrate yourself, nobody's going to celebrate you. So you need to get a grip and start celebrating yourself. You are all that and a bag of chips and a dip on the side. Get yourself a copy of this book. It's going to bless you. We also have The Transformed Woman, like I said, and it's also an amazing, amazing book. It transforms many, many women that read it. So get it and let your life be transformed. This is Woman Without Limits.
Without limits.
And I remember I didn't have a lot of clothes, you know, in terms of fancy wear. So I had a friend who we used to go to the same church. Her name was Eunice. I love that woman. So she would give me her clothes to wear so that I could go for the interviews. So I don't know whether I'm jumping the story, but at some point,
all good.
At some point I had to stop selling porridge because remember, my eye is on the ball.
Yes.
I have to go to TV. So you're making 700 shillings a day, which is quite something. I mean, I was earning 1,000 shillings, breaking my back. So I'm doing 700 shillings and it's all mine, you know? So
Porridge. Just making porridge.
Yes. So I did that for about 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
And I kept on saving money. So I would save 500 shillings. I would spend 200 shillings say a day. And that would to buy food in the house.
Wow.
So I told my mom, these 500 shillings I'm saving, I want to now start going to look for a job at KBC. Again, God has a way. He's a chess player.
He is.
He always knows which chip to move at what point.
Right.
So I had about, Fred Obachi Machoka used to live just behind where we used to live. So I started knocking at his gates. And I told him, Freddie, you do TV, I'm interested in TV, where do I start? Then he told me he's not so sure that I have what it takes because I don't have the educational background. And as much as I may have a good voice, it might not be, it's not all that I need. I need much, much more. But he believed in me nonetheless, yeah? So he told me, do this. Come to me after 2 weeks. And if that's the same thing you want to do, then I will try as much as possible to help. So I went after 2 weeks. And he told me, okay, fine, give me another 2 weeks. So I went again after another 2 weeks. So eventually he told me, okay, fine, make a trip, come to my office in Nairobi, and I want to listen to you, read the news. Give me a newspaper to read the newspaper for him. So the money I had been saving finally got some use. When I went to his office, the first day, he told me KBC has opened a new TV station, or they are opening a new TV station called Metro TV, and they're looking for anchors. So why don't you start applying for that? I knew that he was just my destiny connector. He was just a signboard to direct me. From that point, I didn't bother him again. I went to KBC and I began to start doing the interviews. So we had a lot of people, about over 1,000 guys.
Over 1,000?
Over 1,000.
For the same post?
Exactly, for the same post, and they needed only 4.
Surely there's no walkover, eh?
There's no walkover.
In life, there's no walkover.
There's no walkover.
You will be given land, you will find the Jebusites.
Yes.
And the Amorites there.
Yes.
And God has said it's your land.
Yeah.
So there's never a walkover.
Yeah. So just like Gideon, you have to constantly encourage yourself in the Lord, and you have to keep on pursuing even when it's taken away from you. Why I'm saying it is taken away from you is because at some point during those interviews, because we would go twice a week, then had to reduce once a week. It's a process that went on and on for 7 months.
What?
Before they could actually settle.
With just interviews?
Yes. And remember, I'm only selling porridge, and bus fare from Kitengela to Nairobi was quite some money.
So your porridge money?
Yeah, all of it. Oh. So remember, I have told the construction workers that I am going now to look for a job at KBC. You know that kind of crazy faith? Yeah. Where you actually thought you'll go to KBC and they won't resist you on the first day.
Yeah.
So for me, I had told my guys, Kwaheri, I'm off. But after 7 months, they kept on seeing me still selling porridge, because I have to sell the porridge to get bus fare to go to town.
Yeah.
So at some point, I had to fall off the wagon. They had reduced from 1,000 to 700, then to 600. But you see, those are too many trips. So you have to sell porridge times 2.
Yes.
For you to be able to get the bus fare. I'm not bothering my mother at that time. She has issues with my sisters and taking care of them. So I didn't want to focus on that. My dad, on the other hand, challenges. That's a whole other
story.
Yeah.
We need a whole 2 shows.
Yes, 2 shows for that. So now I kept on selling the porridge. At some point fell off. But there's a certain boss there, Hamisi Themo, who quite identified with my giftings. Again, that's God, you know?
It's
because
God.
It's no man.
The Bible says he orders your steps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he always has set your, light. He lights your path and it shines brighter and brighter
until a perfect day.
Exactly, until your perfect day. So Hamisi Themo really liked my thing. So I fell off the wagon for about a month. They had already cut it down to about 200. So they had moved from now Kasarani, because they were doing them at Kasarani. That was a big number. So they had moved it from Kasarani. They were now going to KBC. So I had to know from the people who had been attending, so where are they at now? So they're at KBC. So I went to KBC. Of course, I'm not in the list. I fell off the wagon at some point.
Yeah.
But the person who came to pick us at the gate did not have the list. So he said, okay, fine. Walk in. Ni akina nani ma news anchors, ma superstars, wale wanataka. So I said, I was part of them. So, yes. And now I had a signature coat. Coatie, a signature one.
Yeah.
A crippling navy blue coat. Yes.
That
and
was your Sunday best.
That was my brand. Every time. Every time they saw me,
then I wish you had it.
And you know, then I was about 22 years old.
Right.
Yeah. So, and you know, it was amazing.
Right.
And I had a cream trouser. So it was mix and match, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went in. At that time, they had already reduced, and I think they used to come in batches because on that day there were around 7 of them. And some of the ladies there were in shoes like Kathy Kiuna,
Like Kathy, of course.
you know. And and
they didn't dress crippling.
No, they were not in crippling. They were in proper suits and stockings. So you're looking at them and you're like, you know what? I have Jehovah.
Hey, come on. Come on.
Yeah.
The one who picked you when you are not supposed to be picked.
Exactly.
That's our God.
Exactly.
Never give up
Yeah.
on God.
So we are queuing out there and people are going in one by one and they go in with the makeup. So they look like the actual TV girls. So for me, I walk in with my lines, yeah, and I opened my mouth. I don't think it was me. I think it was just the Holy Spirit.
Right.
Because when I left that studio and Hamisi Themo said, where have you been? I mean, we have whittled down the numbers from 600, 500. We've not been seeing you. Where have you been? I told him I couldn't come because of bus fare issues, blah, blah, blah. For some funny reason, I don't think even he paid attention to whatever it is I was saying. But he told me, you sound good. So make sure you come back, blah, blah, blah. We are going to start clinics. They used to call them clinics. Clinics is a training process for, you know, people aspiring to be news anchors. So when I left, after Hamisi Themo told me that, when I left the studio, I found now the other ladies. And they were like, huh? Now they want to know my name. Yeah.
With your blue crimpling.
Yeah. Now they want to know my name. And I started off using the name Mukami Gyoshe. Yeah, so my Gyoshe is my dad.
Right.
And my middle name. So and they want to know my name now. So they said, hey, you sound so good. You know, the way the studio had been set, there's a way you would actually hear. So the process went on. And as God had planned and predestined, I was employed. So I went in, started anchoring news, and life goes on. Again, I had set my mind. In fact, just to spin it back, when I started doing the KBC interviews, at some point I went to Nation. Because that was my destiny.
Okay.
I knew
this is a stepping stone to where you're going.
In fact, KBC was a second thought. But Nation was where I wanted to go. And I used to rehearse in the house. I used to, unaona zile TV unaeka karatasi ndio ikue colored. Yeah.
Okay.
So I would watch CNN and I would see Akina Zain Vaji, Akina Halagarani when they were just starting off.
Right.
So I would try as much as possible to sound like them. Because I knew Nation was the place I was going.
Right.
So when I went to Nation twice, just when I was still doing the journey for Kasarani, because unajua ukikuja town, na bus fare hauna mingi,
you use
you
every
do
opportunity.
Everything, yes. So that by the time you go back home, you know that you visited this, you did that,
Yes.
you did that.
Right.
And I used to visit a lot of also Arboretum, yeah, where you just go and sit down and pray.
Wow.
And just tell God, cover me with your favor. So anyway, so I went to KBC and I found a boss there with my crippling and my, you know, peach. I mean, this is Nation. So they looked at me and they looked at me and said, you want to be a news anchor? Really? And they laughed it. I said, yes, I want to be a news anchor. They told me, you know what? I think you're rather too young for credibility. So I told the lady, you think so, Edith? I'll be back.
You said you'll be back.
I said, I'll be back. I know it sounds like a dream, but the kind of life that God had given me, you know, sometimes God puts a personality in you that is ideal for the season in which you're operating.
Come on, preach
Because
today.
sometimes, I mean, at that time, I look back and I wonder, okay, who was that? Who I knew nothing was impossible.
Nothing could shake you.
Nothing you would tell me would break me. In fact, I would have a quick retort, you know, and a godly one for that matter. Yeah. So anyway, I went to KBC, I started anchoring, and in my mind, I knew that I'm not going to be here for more than 2 years. 2 years maximum. This is my training ground. Nimekuja barracks. Kutrainiwa.
To train.
To train, to go
Right.
to Nation. So at that point, there was a chairman. Again, God, you know, it's good to really appreciate. We hear a lot of destiny connectors.
Right.
but we think that it is just a spiritual term, or it is spookiness of the Christians to justify their, you know, their movement in life. But for me, God had actually placed destiny helpers. Somebody like, there was a chairman, actually the chairman of KBC. His name was Kiuna, Dr. Kiuna. He's now, you know, he went to be with the Lord. And Dr. Kiuna kept on telling my boss that there's a lady who is doing the news and she sounds like a Briton. Yeah?
Come on.
Have her come to see me. I wouldn't mind interacting with her. And that name sounds familiar. I'm from Muranga. Dr. Kiuna is also from Muranga. So I would want to know, who is she? Remember, you have actually people who know you, but you didn't go into the business through the people who know you.
Right.
Because it's never about
the people that
around
know you.
It's never about a friend or somebody. It's about God.
You see, he shares his glory with no man.
Exactly.
So sometimes he'll even cover their eyes to not see you because he doesn't want to share his glory with them. You know, he wants to, he's the only one that takes the glory. Yeah.
So remember, I have defined myself as a problem solver. And this is a journey that I believe has built me over the time, because I didn't know then, but you have to solve your problems. You can go talk about them to 100,000 people.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we are born self-contained. As in, there's no shortcomings, there's nothing at hauna.
It's all inside.
It's all, you have all you need.
Say that again. We are born self-contained.
Yes, self-contained, completely. Yes, we are wired for the destiny that God has already set for you. So anyway, we are at the point whereby I moved to Nation. Yeah? No, Dr. Kiuna takes me to school, So Dr. Kiuna decides he wants to meet me. So, Mukami, have you gone to school? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no. I said, no. You're kind of English. Did you go to British schools? Blah, blah, blah. I told him no. So he told me, fine, I want to pay your school fees. Go and find out how much it is at the University of Nairobi, and I'm going to pay for you the first year. And he did. He paid for me. So I'm working, at the same time I'm going to school. God.
So they took you in?
Yes.
KBC.
KBC, okay, at that time we used to be called artists. Artists are people who just walk in and you're paid per job. But now, after some time, I got employed. But I actually he was paying from his pocket. So I didn't need to be an employee so that they can deduct from their salaries.
Right.
He paid from his pocket. And I mean, to date, I'm so grateful. So anyway, I went to school, and during that time, I felt now God wanted me to go there to KBC first so that I can get Dr. Kiuna to pay my school fees, so that Nation doors are now open.
To an educated human being. Hey, don't play with our God.
Yes.
Because I had told you would not get anywhere without education.
Exactly.
So now God made it in a way that you'd first get the education for free without paying for it.
Imagine.
How is this God?
Yeah, he's amazing.
How awesome is he?
He is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So I went to Nation. I started my journey to go to Nation when I heard they were looking for news anchors. One of them, I think, had left in a half, so they needed to replace that person. They were competing very hard with KTN. So they were, you know, Catherine Kasavuli was the in thing, you know, those days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But she reigned.
Yes.
The girl took on the bull by the horns and reigned.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whoa. So they felt that they need to, you know, up their game. Can you imagine? These are stories I get to hear, so I'm in shock. So those days, suti na makoti zilikuwa zinauzwa 50 bob na huko downtown.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had bought a few coats. Very nice looking ones, yeah. So I heard about the interviews that were going on at, you know, at NTV. And since they had heard my voice, when I called and I said, I'm calling from KBC, yeah, we've heard your name, Mukami. Yeah. So just come on this specific date, we do an interview. Right. So I went. I was now, of course, still mix and matching because it was the in thing then, but at least better dressed. Yeah. Nimepigwa pasi na kasmata.
Na sasa umepanda cotton, sasa si crippling
tena.
Yeah,
sasa si crippling tena. Alafu sasa nimejua ya kwamba you need to wear black and red inside too, you know?
Yes.
Really, yeah. Makeup kidogo nimejua, tumevaa Irene.
You went through the iron lipstick.
Oh yes, yeah.
That you would wear and it never came off.
Yes. And
it
it was
never
green.
came off.
It was
Yeah,
green and
it was
then-
green, but
yeah.
when you wear it's red.
Yes.
Jesus. Wait, I
So
wonder
for me,
where they went.
It was magical. Yeah. So anyway, I did my
Irene. I'm still on Irene.
Yes,
Oh my gosh.
yes,
And why
yeah.
was it called Irene? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it was started by Irene.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
But I mean, the makeup artists were good because they also gave us wanja.
Yeah.
So at least, the Kikuyu nation is represented in the
You
makeup
know?
world.
Daughters of Zion, wherever you are, we are going to have this meeting on the 29th of April. All roads should be leading to JCC Parklands. We kick off at 1 p.m. Normally, it's amazing. You don't want to miss it for anything. Invite all your friends. It's free for all. Come to Daughters of Zion.
The Woman Without Limits magazine April edition is out. It tackles relationships issues by Robert Gurade, dysfunctional families, amazing travel and holiday packages by Holiday Bazaar, property ownership by Home Africa, business directory, among others. It's available at Jumia, Educate Yourself Bookshop at Westgate and Greenspan Malls, New Day Bookshop, Textbook City at Capital Center, Biblica at Nakmat Mega. To advertise your products or services on this magazine, please call the numbers on the screen.
Hey, I've written an incredible book called Living in Financial Distinction, and this book is talking to us about how we can walk in financial freedom. I wanted to get a hold of this book. It's only going for 2,000 bob, and I know that your life will never be the same again. In this book, I teach on the blessing factor. I talk about giving and righteousness. I talk about the reasons why God wants you to prosper. I also talk about truths about money. I also talk about things that you should avoid, like borrowing, overspending, and wastage. It's a real good manual that will help you come out of every financial calamity and begin to walk in financial success. Get a hold of it. It will bless you.
I have also written this wonderful book. It's called Celebrate Yourself. And you know what? It's actually basically what we were talking about with you. You know, when you are pushed to the corner. Can you imagine if you didn't know how to celebrate yourself? You wouldn't have picked yourself up. Celebrate yourself is about you. You need to understand that if you don't celebrate yourself, nobody's going to celebrate you. So you need to get a grip and start celebrating yourself. You are all that and a bag of chips and a dip on the side. Get yourself a copy of this book. It's going to bless you. We also have The Transformed Woman, like I said, and it's also an amazing, amazing book. It transforms many, many women that read it. So get it and let your life be transformed. This is Woman Without Limits.
Talanta Institute is the ultimate hub of practical-based training, offering media studies, business courses, hospitality and tourism, ICT and computer studies, fashion and beauty courses, DJing, and ECDE. For more information, call us on 0734 777778. Talanta Institute, unveiling champions.
Don't let what you've done hinder you. Don't you let where you've been hinder you. Don't let what they've said hinder you. Don't you let your past hinder you. You're a woman without limits. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Woman without limits. Yes, you are. There's nothing the enemy can do to stop what God has for you. There's There's nothing the enemy can do to stop what God has for you.